Alright, welcome to the channel. I'm going to be going through a bit of a beachside take here where we're going to something I've been working on lately, which I think is pretty neat, something you can use in pretty much any 5-stack games. So let's start off. I'm going to be going through all 5 players and their respective roles, whatever nades they have, and also what sort of entry routes that they should be taking for this take to be effective. So we're going to be starting off with the first player. The first player has a pretty straightforward responsibility here. Earlier on, while the exec is being set up, his job is to be holding for any apps pushes. Generally speaking, he wants to stay in this kitchen area. Maybe hold a narrow angle, maybe a bit wider. Generally speaking, he shouldn't be jiggling this because that's going to draw over rotates if he shows himself. But generally, staying like this, listening for steps. And once these smokes are going to start to come in, he's going to swing out, make sure nobody's here, and once he's confident that apps is clear, he's going to chuck a molly towards car. Something to be aware of here is not to chuck the molly through this gap. I've done that plenty of times, where you need to make sure you hit the wall. If you somehow throw it through there, it's not going to hit anything, and you're going to have a very annoying car player to deal with. So his role here is going to be throwing that molly and then instantly jumping out of the window. Now, at this point, there's going to be a smoke here, a smoke in window, and a smoke in the middle of the site, as well as on bench. So, jumping out of the window, he should be perfectly safe. And at this point, he wants to play around the pillar, and his role is to be taking care of the short area. Once that is done, he's going to focus his efforts towards bag site, where the second entry is later going to be. So that is the role of the first player. Pretty straightforward. He has a lot of util left. Assuming he survives, he's got a lot of util left for the after plant, which is always good to have. Now as for player number 2, player number 2 is also going to be a bit of an entry player. He's going to be coming in together with the first entry, but he does have a smoke that he does need to throw. So he's going to come to this white line here in the wall, and he's then going to aim. This is going to be hard to see with my blue crosshair, but it's right here. He's going to aim between the edge of this roof and this antenna, and right in between there. And he's going to jump throw that smoke. That's going to bounce once off the skybox, and it's going to come down, bounce once on the ground, and land in this arch area. So this is what I was talking about. This is to allow the short player to swing wide. Now if this smoke wasn't in place, the short player over here would have had a very wide angle. You can't see for the smoke right now, but it'll fade in a second. The short player would have had a very wide angle to cover the actual B push. Now, as a short player, I know this is one of my favorite positions to play because coming out of apps, you can see players mid-air jumping, catch them off guard. You can see players peeking balcony, ba-bam, straight headshot. People trying to run to site. You've got this angle here where they're going to be jumping down. Ba-bam, just take them out. So having a smoke in this arch is really going to neutralize any player here where they're either going to be forced to wide swing this. And you can see for players coming out of balcony, this is a much shorter path or an angle, like much more narrow angle for the short player to stop any bomb carrier from going to the side. So pinging around the left side is not ideal for this player. Also, presumably, if this smoke is down, any short players are going to have to reposition, and by the time they've gotten to the other edge, your first entry is not going to be caught mid-air because he's already going to be out. As well as this, his other option is to just cower in the corner and wait for the smoke to fade, but at that point the entry player is going to swing past the pillar and going to take him out. Other than that, his only real option is to fall back all the way to short, and at that point he's pretty much neutralized, playing for the retake. So that is player number 2's responsibility. Aside from throwing that smoke coming through, he's also going to be throwing a bench molly through this window, and that can be quite tricky to line up, so you might want to keep this optional. He wants to throw it through there, from that angle, and that's going to land on bench. There's going to be a smoke here between bench and car, and also one in the middle of the site. So this is going to force bench players into one of these 2 corners, where they are completely neutralized in terms of the 4-second period when the bomb plant is coming in. And afterwards they're easy pickings because they might be tugged up by the molly, they're kind of stuck in a position where they can't really do much. And they're also going to have one more threat coming in, which is the second entry, like I said. He's also going to be going out. Whether he goes out through the balcony or the window doesn't really matter. But instead of going towards short, his main responsibility is going to be this backside area. Now remember that the window is going to be smoked and the side is going to be smoked. So he's going to need to fight this angle or this angle. But his main goal is to take control of the backside area over here. That's kind of what this entire strat is built on, is to cut off two of the most common positions that you have in an afterplant, which is going to be backside / market, kind of the same angle. This is more cover, but also fewer angles to play with, and bench, which is going to cut them off from the site where you're going to have a free plant, while at the same time you're exposing yourself only to short and car. Car is going to be mollied, so these guys are going to be caught in the open once you're coming out, and the short player is going to be taken out by the first entry. Now the second entry might need to assist with this fight as well, maybe come in for a trade frag, and that's alrighty. There are also, of course, 3 other players coming in, so you should have plenty of support. Just try not to overextend here. Generally speaking, you don't really want to push further than maybe to this pillar. But if you're confident that, you know, maybe they have a half buy, maybe they only played 1 guy on site, you know, you can push a bit wider, you can come closer, fight bench, maybe jiggle door, maybe you could even get into door if you're feeling brave, and take control of market. So that is the role of the second player. Now the third player is going to start off in a very similar position. He is going to be right here on the edge of this wall. Now you can see this edge by this lightning glitch in the displacements down here. And he's going to be aiming right on the edge of this AC unit, right on the corner. Left click throw, and that is the smoke I talked about, which is going between bench and car. This is important because this angle is very annoying to deal with. It's a headshot angle. It's annoying to deal with when you're coming out of balcony, but this smoke completely neutralizes it. On top of that, with the car molly in place, any car players are going to be forced off either out into the open, like I said, which is literally where you're going. The target is right in front of you, or they're going to be forced into the smoke and fall back behind it, where the smoke is going to be there. They're going to be behind it, or they're going to have to go into the bench molly. So that is the responsibility of the third player. The third player is also the bomb carrier. Pretty much his only goal is to get out and plant. Now, generally speaking, he has 2 options. There's going to be a smoke in the middle of the site, so he's going to be able to to plant on default or somewhere in this area, or go for an open plant in the middle of the smoke. This is a bit risky if you accidentally walk too far, or the smoke maybe has a gap, maybe you get sprayed down. But it's a possibility. You can plant in the smoke safely, and from that you're going to have an open plant for any of your players who are playing on short, playing on bench, playing on market window, and apps. It's just, generally speaking, a pretty good plant for everybody involved. I would recommend actually planning on the other side though, planning over here. That's not possible, planning over here, because a lot of players know about the default plan, of course, and they're gonna spam the default plan. So you lose control of backside. Somebody might be spraying the smoke to get the default plan. So planning over here is a decent idea if you want to have a bit of an unconventional plant. So that's the third player. In the post plant, you know, he should stick close to site. There's no point in really running off and trying to go for some solo entries here. He should also have a lot of util left, as he has only thrown a smoke. So he's got flashes, nades, mollies, a lot of stuff to work with for the after plant. So that is the responsibility of the third player. Now the fourth player has probably the toughest to line up and the most unique smoke out of this entire exec. It's one I found on my own. You go to this leftmost piece of paper, and on the very edge you're going to see the smudge. If you crouch and you look up and down on this black smudge here, you're going to want to go to this position. And you want to find the left window frame here. You want to go to the top right corner of the window frame, or of the left edge of the window frame. It's kind of hard to explain. Just watch the video and see how I line it up. On the right corner here, and then go up to the top. You're going to want to keep crouching and jump through the smoke. This is going to fly high, and it's going to bounce once on the edge of the site, and it's going to land nicely right on the B. So this allows for a free plant here, or like I said, in the smoke. because it denies any visibility from backside, from here, from even from some short players. Like, for example, this angle would be one, or this angle. It's going to be completely neutralized by the smoke. So that is a good smoke to have in your arsenal, and pretty important for this exec itself. Now, as for entry routes for the fourth player, there's really two ways you can play this. Either, it kind of depends on how you want to play the round. He can either stay in apps or balcony, round about here, maybe go in car, to support the different angles or the different fights that are going on. So there's going to be a bench fight, there's going to be a short fight, and presumably a backside fight. And all of these players might require support, so you might want to play on balcony and you might want to fight this angle or this angle. You might want to go in car, fight door, or over the smoke. You can also pick bench, like this. You're going to be able to fight these players. You can stay on the balcony or in the window and you can fight short, you can fight this. There's plenty of angles to work with here. That is also one. That's the more passive way of playing it. You could also go for the more aggressive play of just straight up running into the site and pushing your own smoke. This is going to be good because it's unexpected, but you're also sort of cutting yourself off from any potential support. You can get onto backside, you can fight this backside area, you can fight bench, you can clear out this corner. So there's plenty of possibilities here. Could also entry towards short. There's a lot of different ways to play this. But that is the main responsibility of the fourth player. A lot of jiggle room there. Now finally for the fifth player, he's going to be responsible for the market window smoke. It's the same one that you've always seen. I should note here, these smokes are all made for 128 tick, and especially for this is one I know doesn't work in 64 tick. So as you're probably aware, you go into this corner, this pretty common smoke, aim on the corner of the building, and just jump throw. And that's going to fly over the building and it's going to go into the window. It doesn't matter if this wooden thing is broken or not, smoke is going to work either way. It's going to land inside the window rather than outside, so you're going to have a lot of space to work with here, while at the same time you're not going to have any gaps at all here. So any market players are going to be forced to fight through the door or such. Now, supporting that smoke, as the last player over here, he's going to throw the smoke, and his responsibility is flashbangs. So you can throw a deep flash like that, you can throw one like that, that's a bad one. Throw one like that, that's another bad one. I'm just bad at this. You shouldn't do this one, unless you're very good at jump throws. His responsibility is flashing. One or two should be enough. Later on, the rest might want to be saved for the after plant by the rest of the players. Should also be noted the fourth player can also go for one of these flashes as he's running out. So yeah, that is the responsibility of the final fifth player. As for entry routes, there is really, again, two ways to play this. This is a very situational role where you need to be aware of what's going on with your team. If you have players going down in the side take, if you lose a player on short, maybe on backside, maybe you lose the fourth player or the second player, you're going to want to be part of the side take, where you're going to want to jump down from apps and you're going to want to help out with these fights. But if the exec goes off swimmingly and you lose, you get map control and you can get the bomb plant down, you'd want to stay in apps, generally speaking, because then you can quickly go back and try and hold behind. Now, here you can either hold this angle like play around the kitchen, or you could go even more aggressive and go into the staircase and hold this angle. This is kind of depends on how the other team is playing. If they have quick rotates, they're going to call the exec pretty early as soon as they see the smokes come in, and you might have somebody running through under already as you're jumping down the stairs. So for this position, I would recommend playing in the kitchen space. Now if you've got maybe only 3 players as you've taken the side, maybe you know there's somebody on the side, you don't really want to be stuck in kitchen as the C2s are trying to retake. You might be better off playing somewhere around here where you can fight the site and you can click over there. You might want to be a bit more dynamic in how you hold apps in this kind of role. So yeah, that is everything that the 5 players do. So let's look over a bit of a recap here with all these smokes that we're going to come in. We're going to have come in. So the first one goes like that. Second one goes like that. Third one, tough one to line up. Right there. Fourth one, like that. So to look over this, as you can see, like this is you pretty much isolated the short angle as the only really dangerous angle that you need to fight here, and the entire strat is kind of built around taking this sort of brackets control around the side uh, to set up for a good afterplant. You don't want to leave any players here because I think playing around this pillar or playing around this pillar is one of the more, like, those two positions are some of the most powerful positions on this entire site, in my opinion, where you just have so many ways to isolate different angles one at a time, where it becomes a real nuisance to deal with if you're a CT playing in these positions. So isolating these ones from the rotations and from the other angles, kind of splitting the site in half, is going to be very effective to deny any potential retakes. You've also got the free plant, so even if you lose the round, like with a decent loss bonus and a bit of money in the bank, you should be able to rebuy or be set up for pretty good economy after this round. So that is sort of the basis of the entire strat. I hope you enjoyed this. You can probably try it out in some of your own games. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. See ya.